Um, the first poem is called Spanish on the Weekends. It'll be the only one with a little bit of Spanish, so bear with that. Cuco brought Spanish home with him on the weekends. You said English was your greatest love, but you always slipped into Spanish. Loyal as you tried to be, it wasn't a weakness, Mother. Private school nuns with rulers promised to beat Spanish out of my mother and left-handedness out of my uncle. It was the devil's tongue and the devil's handiwork. How peculiar that the devil would be so interested in making low-income students different. God must be rich. How else could he afford a sparkling marbled heaven and someone to keep it clean? Your dirty, dirty tongue, Mommy, cheated on English so many times, wickedly, cruelly, deliciously, maliciously rolling its R's and flicking a curl over its N's at lunchtime. It was intense. It must have been a sin. And Cuco must have had the devil and God, one on each shoulder, because after all those wooden rulers snapped, he was still only ambidextrous. Mama told me English was my meal ticket, my get-out-of-welfare card, the language of intelligence, or at least guaranteed success. But Cuco came over on the weekends, protesting, using the tongue he was raised with and gesturing with his left hand for emphasis. Inglés es para el trabajo, para ellos. ¿Para qué lo necesito en esta casa? And where do you work? Driving a van, and before that, driving a school bus. Maybe if you cared more about English, you'd have a better job. English is the only language that matters here. Los otros no valen nada. I stared at them both in silence, not daring to take Cuco's side, though I loved how Mommy's eyes sounded in Spanish, so natural, like comforting sighs. Quel est le problème avec toi? Cuco demanded, using the French he remembered after hearing an attractive girl speak it on TV. Ni chivois, ni a dim, ni a plim, she pronounced defiantly, remembering her latest favorite words learned from a Russian phrase book. Bonus points if they could swap insults in languages the other didn't understand. I decided to teach myself German, spending hours at the public library children's room with picture dictionaries. I liked how it sounded in World War II documentaries they showed us in school. So powerful. Mommy hated it. Ich komm von Alabama mit dem banjo auf dem Knie, I sang. If you want to learn a foreign language, learn your Spanish, mijita. El alemán es muy feo y violento. Es mejor aprender español. Spanish flowed into the weekdays and the music we sang along to, because one language could never contain our spirits. For once, Ma, you didn't win. So that was a subtle transition. This is going to be quite a dramatic one. It's about homelessness. It's called View from a Shelter. Packed with parts of families waiting for a space in communal showers, a mother speaks in fragments, cursing the body of children clinging to her limbs, cradling only the baby. The curtains of falling water do not hide our nakedness. I lather vigorously and contract my shoulders. My mother and brother absorb the water slowly, unfazed, acting as if we were bathing at home. We walk to retrieve our towels, clothing, and the rest of our possessions we deem valuable enough to save. A free meal awaits everyone in the dining hall, where we will later lay our heads down for the night. I take a tray of food and scrape the meat off my plate. Circumstance will not alter my right to choose what I eat. My mother rolls her eyes at me and divides it between my brother and herself. She looks smaller in this context. Inflection drained from her motherly orders. I am halfway through high school with a 4.0, my ticket to a future of glitter and gold, or so she once told me. Another girl my age sits 100 feet away, looking down into her plate. Her mother eats slowly in silence, broken promises constricting both their throats. Gym cushions replace picnic tables, and the auditorium is converted. We lie inches above the ground we would have averted earlier. Our blankets are illusions made of felt. The ceiling stands too far above to protect our collective warmth. My mother and brother move closer together. I walk towards the fogged window. Outside, a ragged man sleeps on heaving hefty bags in the adjacent parking lot. He waited at the end of the line with the other men for hours. Tonight, we are lucky to be women and children. This is kind of an old poem, but I actually called it Transition. It was about the first time I did a student film, and I had done acting on theater only for a long time, and I really hated the camera. From behind the wings, I'd rush the boards. My hands shook because they didn't know what else to do. But something took over me, and it went on, as it must. And I lust for the ephemerality of theater. It used to deflate me that each play disappeared, the best parts. But now, this camera in my face that wants to hide its snide remark and save it for real life. This silent spy threatens not to forget every nuanced sense. Like a pit bull promising not to bite, don't let it smell your sense of fear. Ignore it. It will disappear. But then, this permanence, I like it too. This is another short poem. It's called After 12 Years of Being a Vegetarian. This is when I was like ravenous for meat all of a sudden. I was hungry. I was fed up with disappointments. Every menu had something I couldn't. I was jealous of sick chicken soup eaters. I wanted to smash those flaccid vegetables. I wanted to challenge my teeth. I wanted to tear something with my hands. I longed to chew on sticky chunks of chicken thickness. I was tortured by the smell of taquitos. I might have settled for a fish with the eyes removed, but more than anything, I wanted a new set of rules. And the funny thing is that 6 years after that, I'm pretty much a vegetarian all over again, with occasional meat eatings. And this is the last poem. This is called Dear Mara, and Mara is a mythical Buddhist figure that stands for the nagging voice in your head that always, like self-doubt basically, always tries to get you when you think you're going the right way. The first time I saw you, I thought I'd discovered the whole of you, but it was just your little toe. Then a pointed finger directing me to a sophisticated clone. Your insults were couched in compliments, clever as a pet's quilt concealing spilled milk while proudly causing a stain underneath. Daughter of a Catholic ascetic turned agnostic schizophrenic, I was sure indulgence was the key to flexibility. But it turned out the opposite of mentally ill was not drunk and stupid, nor was the antidote to isolation an intense desire to please. I could almost see this forming in my college grades. I took a range of them, was no longer confined to straight A's. But it took having indulged in the post-grad pursuits of tongues and limbs brought together by the sensuous whims of new cities and foreign countries to really drive me in. Mara, I thought you were the pleasure, but you were the wanting. And the best route to separation was not in the resistance of an upright palm, but in the gentle observation of an open hand resting on the thighs that stabilized an upright spine. It was opening my mind to see everything I wanted I already was. You had me going there, Mara, for a very long minute, had me believing your closed palms had something inside. Good game, Mara, good game. I know you'll try again, but I'm happy knowing now, the more often I find you, the more peaceful I am. Thank you.